So interpolation is not converting the data. It is not converting the data. So it is using that simply as a string form. It is using it as a simply as a string form. And this template syntax is you converting it. That means what this is doing is it is converting this and displaying here. And you can observe here this is ignored. This is ignored here. So when we run the inspect element, that means when we run the page inspect option here. So in the consoles, you can see one warning comes here. In the console, one warning comes here. You can observe the warning that sanitizing HTML stripped some content. That means when you are using interpolation, then it will just use as a string. That will not have any effect, no problem. But when you are using or binding to inner HTML properties, then you can see that it is sanitizing this. It is sanitizing this. That means you can see that that particular part of code is removed from Angular. That means Angular is inbuilt, is using, Angular is inbuilt, is using, it is technically inbuilt, it is using a sanitizer. It is using a sanitizer. This sanitizer advantage here is this sanitizer is responsible for identifying the dangerous requests coming in, and it can block those requests. It can block those requests. It can identify them and it can block those requests. So that is one by default, the security available. So, and how you have to configure this. That means how you need to tell this. That means how the cross-site scripting attacks are controlled in your Angular application. The cross-site scripting attacks are controlled in the application. So by using a DOM sanitizer, by default, we have a DOM sanitizer. We have some predefined classes which can handle the situation and manage that. Actually, suppose this paragraph can have a class, and Angular provides some end-to-end E2E classes. It will provide E2E classes, E2E inner HTML, and interpolated. So these are the predefined classes. And if you use these classes, if you configure and use these classes, so we can even handle this in the testing. So for testing environment, we need to deploy this. Actually, this requires Jasmine and Karma to enable. That I will show one point about that. Then we can even identify these in the testing, and we can block these kind of requests. By default, it will manage that. So you don't need to configure this. That is required only when you are dealing with testing. Now, if anyone asks like how this is managed internally, means internally how it is preventing that to happen. So for that, you need to tell about a simple point. That is, it is possible. So by using DOM sanitizer, dot sanitize. We have a DOM sanitize, so which is responsible for, so sanitize is actually a method. So which handles the cross-site scripting attacks. That is what actually the DOM sanitizer will do implicitly. DOM sanitizer is doing implicitly. That is one point. And the DOM sanitizer so can also handle the securities, can also handle the securities. That means securities that are handled by using URLs and transporting through the URLs. That means if any URLs are configured, this is scripting. So scripting attack, you don't need to do manually anything. So you need to just understand that it is using a sanitizer in the background. It is using a sanitizer in the background. So that means when you go to the securities, here it will show the sanitizer for that, right? Actually, that is in the Angular core, it is managing. Inbuilt, it is managing. So that is one point. That's the reason all those are removed here. They are removed here. So what we have to know is how this is managed internally by using a DOM sanitizer. Okay. What else this DOM sanitizer actually provides? Actually, DOM sanitizer, that means an example for this is the simple example I given here. That means we have a security demo component. In that we just added some code. We are adding just some code and we are trying to implement that code here. So, and very important is in this, what will happen here is interpolation converts to string, and property inner HTML. So it removes the suspicious code. It removes the code. It removes the code defined in as string. That is what actually it does. And this is managed by sanitizer. Actually, DOM sanitizer. We have DOM sanitizer. Sanitizer uses for various methods for handling the security. Actually, the methods it is having is bypass security, trust HTML, and bypass security and trust script. That means in interviews they ask like, okay, I want to allow them, then how to do? That means, okay, it is preventing by default. Then if I want to allow them, then how do we do? So for that, we need to explicitly call the DOM sanitizer and we need to use these methods. So bypass security and trust style, and bypass security and trust URL. So bypass security and trust resource URL. All these are the methods which are used to explicitly disable them, so that it allows that to handle. That means by default it will remove that, but it allows that to handle. These are the methods, uses methods to dynamically control cross-site scripting attacks. So generally, if it is very suspicious and if it is very dangerous of passing such data into these URLs, then many times people ask this question like, if it is not good to allow such queries, then why you have given an option for bypassing the security, bypassing the trusted HTML, bypassing the trusted script, so that you are allowing them to do that? Why there is an option for allowing? Can you tell anything about that? Why it is providing an option for allowing them? Why they are allowed? If it is a problem in security, then why it is allowing? Can you guess any point about that? Why there is an option for allowing? Why there is an option for allowing? Any idea?